Well, thank you very much for inviting me here. Uh, it's a very interesting topic. Sustainability is there across what we hear across boardrooms, across management, across academia, and as well as consulting. It's a important topic. We have esteemed panelists here covering wide variety of industries, right from construction, building materials to infrastructure to electrification to as well as consumer brands, right? So uh, what we want to hear, I know we are we are already running late, but we will try and keep it simple. Uh, what I would like to hear, and it's how innovation or technology is driving sustainability across all these industries. What we will do is, while we ask the panelists to introduce themselves, I'll also then drive the first question towards it as well. So let me start with Nikhil, right? He is the CEO Gentari Mobility. Uh, Electrification, driving electrification of fleets across the country, or driving sustainability or decarbonization across fleets. Nikhil, at least while we want also for the audience to introduce what the company does and how technology is playing an important role in the way you are operating in the country, right? So that I think is the first, and then we'll move on to the other panelists.
Right. Thanks, Prashant. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me first introduce myself.
Yeah.
I'm Nikhil Thomas. I lead the green mobility team at Gentari India. I've experience in multiple domains, spanning from automotive, vehicle leasing, e-commerce, startups. I actually founded a startup called Truckeasy in the last mile delivery space. And then now in the EV ecosystem through Gentari. Right? Gentari is basically was founded to solve for clean energy solutions, across, in fact, clean energy solutions which are reliable, right, scalable, and cost-effective across Asia-Pacific markets and India markets, right? We in Gentari basically operate out of three core pillars, which is renewable energy, hydrogen, and green mobility. And green mobility is what I head. Right? If you look at our path, right? In fact, I'll just talk about some history. The last 2 centuries, right, have been explosive in terms of growth, right? Mankind, because a big thing happened. The industrial revolution happened in somewhere around 1700s, 1800s, right? And that was a global phenomenon, and it had a global impact, right? And I think, and all industries across all domains were growing at a frantic pace. But the problem there is, the major energy source which was used for this growth was hydrocarbons, right? And I think, all industries were mercilessly polluting, not knowing the kind of impact that they were creating, right? But fortunately, now we've all woken up and we have realized, hey, if we keep on doing this, there won't be a planet to live on, right? So sustainability now has taken front seat, and that's where Gentari stands at the forefront, making this transition, right? So in green mobility, just to touch upon green mobility, what we do, we electrify the ecosystem, right? We lease out electric vehicles to B2B customers, fleet operators, and we set up charging infrastructure for them, right? So it's not just vehicles that we are providing, we also provide means to energize these vehicles, right? And of course, a lot of value-added services are also provided. So we've got a digital platform which we recently launched called Gentari Go, which provides digital solutions for navigating these 2 business lines that we have created, right? Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Abhijit, let me come to you first, and then I'll go to Amrita. Abhijit is leading marketing and corporate strategy at InfraMarket. And InfraMarket is a very interesting play in the building construction infrastructure, right? I just wanted to obviously introduce yourself a bit and then talk about what InfraMarket is doing. What is the genesis of InfraMarket and how it has taken in the last 7-8 years of the journey, and how you're using technology as a lever to drive this growth in the market.
Thanks. So, uh, I think India is headed to become a trillion-dollar economy, and we are looking at more than 50 smart cities coming up. So, when we set up to uh, put infra markets, ideologies in place, and the reason for us to exist. In fact, we just had a session on purpose driving the brand. So the purpose that was driving us was trying to figure out how can we accelerate this, how can we make this seamless. And we realized that today, whether you take an infrastructure project or whether you take a builder, the biggest problem that he faces in terms of delivering the project on time are on two fronts. One is obviously the financing part, where his working capital gets stuck. But the core reason why his working capital gets stuck is when he does not get material on time. He needs steel from somebody else, cement from somebody else, and concrete from somebody else, till the end where he needs paint and everything all put together. So that was the genesis of this company. I think we set up to make this process seamless and easier. And today we can boast of clients like, say, even an L&T. Government of India is a big client for us, whether it's the Samriddhi Highway or the Mumbai-Wali Sea Link, and any real estate player, starting from Lodha to if we come to DLF in Delhi or J. Kumar or anywhere. So what we are trying to do is ensure that when he excavates, he gets concrete on time. And right from there, from concrete to steel to blocks, AAC blocks, which are a green product today and replacing, till, if it's a builder, till modular kitchen. Today we boast of 300 manufacturing units of our own across all these 8 different product categories. And as you were rightly saying, how is technology? So we are a tech first company. We have a lot of in-house tech, and I think the founders understood this, they're new age founders, they understood this long back. Okay, this is an industry which is plagued with a lot of deficiency in terms of the way the technology is integrated. And if India has to move forward, companies need to adopt that. So we realize that in infrastructure or in building construction material industry, 2 or 3 bigger problems where maybe one is transparency. You hardly knew what is the right price. You hardly knew how do you get it. Quality, maybe secondly, and thirdly, maybe commitment to timely delivery. So all these 3 needed to be, so the third part we solved by having our own manufacturing units. In fact, today, as I speak, we are not a very old organization, about a 6-year-old organization, but what we started first, today we are number 2 player in the country, which is concrete, after Ultratech, InfraMarket, along with InfraMarket and RDC, which are both. In fact, we are a house of brands, and we are number 2 in the concrete space. So we needed to stitch this all in technology, right from sourcing to supply chain to even an architect, a dealer who should be easily accessible to a consumer. So I think a lot of tech has got built at the back end. A lot of supply chain has got stitched. A lot of procurement has got stitched. And while we operate as a house of brands on the ground, but at the back end, a lot of sourcing, like as I was telling, concrete, or even say a Shalimar Paints, which is our group company today. All of that, a lot of companies that we have, 3 or 4 brands that we have in tiles and sanitary sector. So all of that at the back end, sourcing, a lot of it is common, and we have stitched that all through technology.
Yeah, thank you for that. Amrita, you are an FMCG leader, worked with number of companies and brands and building sustainability, sustainable products, right? We just want to hear from you how FMCG brands, right, are incorporating sustainability into building their brand strategies, right? So that, we heard from them on the technology side, on the infra electrification. We want to hear from you on, let's move to the sustainability topic, how FMCG brands are doing today. What is the framework they are operating in, and so on.
Thank you, Prashant. And of course, thanks to the entrepreneur team for enabling us to be here. Before I really delve deeper into that topic, I just wanted to kind of take maybe 20 seconds to stress on one point. So we were sitting in the audience, and this is the third panel that I saw. There were two more, panel discussions before this, and of course, it is, sustainability that we're talking about in this panel. But very interestingly, in all the three panels, I was the only lady that I saw. So cheers to all the women who are sitting here in the auditorium. What I want to say is, if we really want to talk about innovation and sustainability and technology, I think we need to have more women sitting not just there, but sitting here. So I hope the entrepreneur team is also listening, because most entrepreneurs today are also women. And that's how we can really drive true innovation and ensure that all of these new age buzzwords become a reality. So sorry to digress,
No,
but
that's
sustainability
an
is,
important one as well.
it is kind of going to happen when we are more inclusive. So just wanted to make that point. So I basically am the Chief Marketing Officer at Amway. I'm extremely passionate about the area of health, wellness, and sustainability. The three of these, put together and in isolation, are the most underpenetrated when it comes to consumers in India. So while we talk a lot about sustainability, CSR, and of course, infrastructure, manufacturing, supply chain, which need to kind of, move or are already seeing a green revolution, what we kind of tend to, ignore is that, yes, technology, innovation will enable all of that green revolution when it comes to building the infrastructure, changing our supply chains, our manufacturing units. All of that is happening and will happen. But it's consumers, basically like you and me. All of us are consumers, right, of products. If we as consumers start changing our habits, which is the most difficult thing to change, because habit, as we know, is very difficult and doesn't change easily. Habits die hard, as they say. It's only when we accept products which are more sustainable, that's when all of the infrastructure, all of the manufacturing plants, all of the supply chain will make it more accessible and scalable. Let me just explain this in a bit to you. Why am I saying this? So if a company comes out with, say, a laundry detergent, okay, which is extremely sustainable, and it's green labeled and certified and all of that, but you still have a stain on your clothes, will you wear that shirt and come here to this conference? I'm sure nobody will, right? So what it really means is that products which are going to be sustainable, they have the backing of the manufacturing which makes them sustainable, but they have to deliver on functionality as well. And are consumers like you and me going to accept those products if they have a little flaw? Obviously not. So I think it's a dual responsibility. One is on the manufacturers, to ensure that the products are not just labeled or certified green, but they also deliver on the functionality, the durability, the usability, the convenience, the comfort, all of the things that you and me look for. But I think it's also the responsibility of we as consumers to accept and change. Let me give you another example. If today, in the lunch break, if I told you that this particular venue will not serve rice or wheat, which means no roti or chawal, okay, in your meal, and we will serve millets to you, would you have that as part of your lunch? Maybe some of you would, but I don't think many people would really appreciate that. And they would kind of say that I'm not going for this conference if I have to stay hungry and then attend the whole day's event, right? So what does that really mean? Habits die hard. So millets are the most sustainable. Okay, they can drive green revolution, but they will be expensive. Why? Because there are no economies of scale. Because in this big auditorium, there would be 1, 2, or 3, or maybe max to 1, 2% of people who would accept and replace their rice or their roti with millet-based foods or bhakris made of millets. And that, actually, if that changes, that will drive economies of scale and go back into the supply chain, manufacturing, technology, infrastructure, and ensure the costs are lower. So it's a vicious cycle. And that's the side of, driving consumerization of sustainability, which is what, I basically work on.
Thank you very much. Very interesting point. Even if someone eats millets today, it's changing 365 days becomes a real challenge, right? As for taste, as for, people may do it once a week, once a month, I don't know, but it becomes difficult because it's a kind of thing, right? Nikhil, earlier sessions also people talked about, 15 rupees per kilometer to 1 rupee per kilometer. I don't know at what level you are in, but how are you, ensuring that, the high capex of initial vehicle cost and coming down to operating cost, lower operating cost, how are you managing that today? And how do you see 5 years down the line, right? So, there is an adoption issue, as Amrita talked about. We have also seen, compared to other countries, our adoption in electric vehicles is not as fast as it should be, right? And what will help it drive that adoption?
Electric vehicles, if everybody adopted, I mean, it would have been a beautiful place. But we see, I mean, there are multiple issues in adoption, but we kind of have narrowed down on 2 key things. One is your affordability, because EVs basically have a higher capex. And the second part is convenience, right? Now, don't worry, we've got solutions for you, right? The capex through our leasing model, right, is something that we have so let's say for a B2B customer to outrightly go and purchase a vehicle, the capex amount is high. But when he chooses leasing, what we do is we kind of spread out the capex over the entire useful life of a vehicle, right? So therefore, the initial investment that a potential EV user would shell out is minimal, right? Or as comparable to that of a combustion engine vehicle, right? So and it's not just the leasing part of it, right? We kind of provide flexible leasing options, right? So leasing options for 1 year, 2 years, and then based on multiple use cases that's there prevalent in the market, right? So that kind of sort of takes care of the affordability factor. Now, affordability factor by natural processes is also coming down. Now, when I say natural, it's obviously induced as technology is improving by the day, by the year, right? Because battery tech probably 5 years or 10 years back, I think it was 2x or 3x of what it is today, right? We have seen exponential decline in battery costs, which has actually given us hope, that at least we can buy through some subsidies offered by the government in the form of FAME. We also predict that in the next 3 to 5 years, that battery prices will further drop, probably to the extent of 50% that we see right now, right? Then that becomes affordable, right? But what we're trying to do is we're trying to fast track that. We can't just wait for 5 years and then say, hey, let's start polluting. I mean, let's keep polluting and then 5 years we'll all shift, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to push, provide stimulus for businesses and users to kind of shift as fast as possible, right? And that's what we're providing through our leasing model, right? Now coming to the second part of convenience, right? Convenience, let's assume, you're in Delhi, you want to go to Jaipur, right? You've got to, forget Jaipur. Let's say you have to run 400 kilometers, right? The typical car that's out there right now, the mass market cars, probably would run, let's say, on a full charge, 300 kilometers, right? So you won't get there, right? Now, just when you're kind of looking at 2 scenarios, right? One scenario one where you have your combustion vehicle, right? I think the last thing that would come to your mind is refueling, right? I mean, you won't even bother about refueling a car, right? I mean, I don't think that would even be a problem statement when you kind of go on these trips, right? But flip it with an electric vehicle, right? Then this comes, right? An electric vehicle which has a range of 300 kilometers and you have to traverse 400 kilometers, then it becomes a problem. That's what you call as range anxiety, right? And that's one of the biggest deterrents of EV adoption in not just in India, but across the globe, right? So that's what we're trying to solve through our ChargePoint as a business, right? Which is providing or installing charging points at, prime locations. So when I say prime, so there's a science behind adding charging infra, right? We don't just install some charging infra and then and pray for utilization to come, right? We look at a lot of data, right? And that's what's which helps us in ensuring that we derive revenues also, right, from what we're installing, right? Because at the end of the day, we all have to make money, right? So we just can't install these charging units wherever we want to and then leave it for luck or hope to kind of drive utilization, right? So these are the two objectives that we have identified. And on top of this, we want to kind of create a lot of user experience, right, while doing it. And that's why we've launched, a digital platform, like I mentioned, Gentari Go, which kind of gives that added convenience, right? Convenience in the form of not just helping users discover charging infrastructure, but also providing options for a user to install rooftop solars, and even if he's not an EV user, he can also look at test driving EVs, right? So what we're basically trying to do is, it's not providing a single solution to a major problem, right? We're trying to address multiple facets of the problem, and that's how this whole ecosystem can actually be developed, right? Yeah.
Thank you for those insights. Abhijit, you supply materials, SKUs, building materials, which probably we are not seeing, right? Most of it is hidden under, cement, concrete, and stuff. What we see is only the, final interiors and so on. How are you, installing sustainable products into your own product portfolio as you have expanded a lot, as you're expanding across multiple categories as well as multiple products? How are you managing the sustainability part of different things? Because probably consumer is not even aware of most of them.
I think that's a very important point you're making. And in fact, while you say this, it strikes to me that we are talking about, so we are so possessive about the car that we want to buy, whether it's today, it's environment friendly, and are we buying an EV vehicle? Are we contributing towards not only our pocket, but also towards the society and environment in general? The kind of food that we are eating, are we eating millets or are we eating non-healthy food? But when you spend 70% of your life in your home, you are hardly bothered what went into making that home, because you buy it from a builder, everything is behind the wall. And you are not even conscious. What you are conscious about your home is the curtain color, the lounger that you will put, where the TV should come, how your exterior should look. But infrastructure industry is 70% behind the wall, and for us also. And we also have a B2B and a B2C arm, and we do understand that. And whether you're building your villa where you give it to an architect or a contractor, or you're buying from a builder, I think that responsibility towards making it sustainable in all ways is extremely important. And again, as I told you, being a new age company, that was I think one of the core principles also for us. So therefore, if I ask maybe 15 or 20 people in this room the difference between cement and concrete, hardly, I think maybe 2% would know that concrete is a mixture of cement, sand, and aggregates. Because India, 99% of concrete is mixed at the site, where you buy cement and you leave it to your contractor to mix it over there and then put it. So there was no responsibility there. I think that was the first product we took. And just to give you a fair example, if you were to put a ceiling to your house, and if this was your ceiling, it may take you 25 days when you mix it in at the site and allow your contractor to do. And time is also, by the way, a resource which has to be used very sustainably. And if you get a ready-mix concrete truck, which is that round trucks that keep moving, it will be put in 3 hours. So something which is going to take 20 days gets done in 3 hours, and qualitatively the right amount of cement, sand, and aggregate. Aggregate are those chips, that stone chips that get mixed. So I think we started and we ensured that we are moving towards a global trend. More and more players today pushing. In fact, if you see the leader in cement today, they are also showing Shah Rukh Khan with a concrete transit mixer at the back end. So the industry is transforming towards becoming sustainable in terms of moving the product mix. Even the bricks, so you saw a lot of bricks being used. Today we are India's largest manufacturers of AAC blocks, which are fly ash blocks, which are replacing bricks. Those are those big blocks that you see. I think the urban India has already moved, and outside any skyscraper which is under construction, you will see these brick blocks. But fly ash in itself is a byproduct of a steel plant, and it's very environment friendly. We are, in fact, a part of the Green Board Council, member of the IGBC, and imagine the dead weight for the building. When you are putting something which is lightweight like an AAC block, not only are you putting a green product, but you are ensuring that all the walls, the dead weight is minimal. The susceptibility towards managing long-term wear and tear due to a lot of these hazards are there. And I can keep going on. There is, in each and every product we have inbuilt it. For example, our modular, let me go to the last mile. We have our own MDF. Our wood division, we focus more on MDF than the plywood, because plywood is all cutting trees, and the complete Yamunanagar belt is filled with 400 to 500 factories which are inorganically, which are in the market. Manufacturing means it's a complete unorganized market. Daily the rates are cut and tons of trees are cut. But our understanding of MDF is that cheap Chinese wood that comes, which has some chura, bhusa and all that, but medium density fiber wood comes in high density, medium density, and that's a more greener product than taking plywood. Our modular kitchens uses our own MDF, and we also in our wood division have promoted MDF in a bigger way. In fact, all the leaders today are moving towards building MDF and as I told you, there is sustainability across all product categories. We just have to see it. We just need to ensure that when we are making our own homes or when we are into our own flats, we also ensure that that is a place that you spend 70 to 80% of your time. And therefore, you should choose the products wisely, which will ensure that your house lives a longer period. You have a better life and you have a better cost effectiveness, plus whatever time that you spend is more better spent. So I think that is very important, and it's being built by the government also in all the smart cities that you see. Yeah. I think they are taking this as a project. Smart cities, apart from being smart in the tech format, are also being smart in a lot of infrastructure that they are putting in.
Yeah, thank you. I think I have one last question, Amrita, for you. You talked about functionality of a green product. Is a cost premium, are consumers willing to pay a higher premium for a product which has similar functionality but it's still sustainable? Are consumers ready, or is it still a struggle like, green vehicles, right? So people look at, I want the same green product but at a price which is obviously affordable.
Sure. I think it's a very interesting question. And I go back to, what I was saying earlier. So Prashant, it's like, see, I think it's not about what is the cost of the product. What does it deliver? Does it deliver a similar or a better experience than a non-green product? Because what a consumer like you and me wants, as I said, whether it's green or not green, वो तो हम बाद में सोचेंगे, right? But जिस काम के लिए उसको लिया है, अगर वो काम कर देगा, then obviously that product is in. So cost will come later. And therefore I said, it's the responsibility on both the manufacturer's side as well as the consumer to come to a midpoint. Why do I say midpoint? Because yes, functionality, no compromise. We have to deliver on what is the core benefit you're buying that product, whether it's clothes, whether it's food, whether it's mobility, whether it's infrastructure, cement, whatever, because it has to deliver on the reason why you are buying that. So I don't think a green product can really compromise on the functionality and the usability, the durability, the comfort, the convenience. But yes, because of the economies of scale not being there today, because of the adoption of the consumer not being there, it is going to be a little more expensive because there are only a handful of people who are actually accepting, adopting, and using that product. So it's a vicious cycle both ways. But very interestingly, I'm actually sandwiched between the two gentlemen here, and I think it's a great opportunity to say this, that whether it's green mobility or it's green infrastructure, or we talk about any other product category, the adoption and, as you asked about the cost or the premiumness, will not really come in the way once we create an ecosystem. And I think both my fellow panelists spoke about, in some way or the other, an ecosystem, because we definitely need an ecosystem to ensure there is enhanced adoption. So it's a little bit of, like, agar main aapse kahun, oh, I bought this and I found it really good. It's a green product, it's usable, it's very similar to my non-green product. Like, jo mera regular detergent hai, ya jo mera regular atta hai, this, it's a green millet-based product, but uska taste badhiya hai. I didn't feel that maine aaj wheat nahi khaya, ya I didn't feel ki maine XYZ product jo regular mera shampoo hai, ya cream hai, jo bhi hai, I didn't feel that I have missed that. Or for that example, if it delivers similarly like a car, whether it's an EV or not, or whether it's, any other product. So if the functionality is delivered, and if we have an ecosystem to kind of tell you that, this is how maybe Amrita experienced it, and she comes and tells you, your neighbor does it, your friend does it, your cousin does it, your relative does it, whoever, your entire school, college, university, office, everyone does it. So that ecosystem will actually become the voice of adoption, because your trust will increase only then that, yes, this green product delivers equally or more than another product which is not so green. And then people would be willing to pay the premium. But I think they need the confidence in the product first, and then the whole ecosystem. So it's our responsibility, as manufacturers, producers, as organizations, to kind of create that education, number one, that yes, this green product is really better. It's not just a green certification, but it's really better. It really delivers on the functionality and the usability which you are getting, the experience that you are getting as a consumer with any other non-green product. And then once you see multiple people adopting, you are empowered. So it's education, it's empowerment, and then you get enabled actually by that whole community of people around you who are saying and you are seeing, they are saying and you are seeing that how these products are able to deliver as good or sometimes even better, but definitely not worse. And then there'll be no question of cost, I think.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know we are on top of time. I just asked no Q&A, but thank you very much for all the panelists. At least for me, it was an enriching experience to understand sustainability across areas, right? We rarely get to hear, one or two kind of products, but it's a great experience to know what's happening behind the wall. What is the experience? We need the right product. That's the first thing. Functionality is important. And then different solutions, how to make it happen, right? So, thank you very much. It was a great experience for me. Hopefully, you also enjoyed. Thank you all.